Alright, peace, 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 peace. All glory, honor, and praise to my Father in heaven and to the Lord Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the King of kings and Lord of lords. Today I'm going to talk about three differences between flesh and demonization, meaning that some people think that everything is a demon, but they disregard the fact that there's also a flesh. So I want to give three different ways or three things you can look for to know if maybe it's a demon or maybe it's your own flesh. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. But before I start, guys, make sure you guys hit the like button right now, smash the like button immediately, and drop a comment in the comment section and share the video with anyone that you think could use it or that it could help out. My 3-hour class number 7, King David, a man after God's own heart, should be available within the next few days. My last 3-hour class, Seeking God with a Pure Heart, which is one of my personal favorites, is available on my Patreon now for Diamond members. Now let's jump into the content. The first thing I want to say is there's a difference between a habit and being in bondage, right? You can have a habit of something or you can be in bondage to something, right? Now, a habit is something that may be hard to quit, but that you probably can quit. Right? It doesn't have a strong hold on you. It's just something that you might do habitually, but it's breakable. You're aware that you're doing it. You're aware that you have the habit, and you are able to break it if you decide to break it. Bondage is something that you're in bondage to. It's like being in chains. No matter how hard you try to quit, somehow you can't quit. Like there may be somebody that, drinks every now and then, right? Which would be different than someone that is an alcoholic. Now, someone that's a casual drinker, they may casually drink habitually, right? But somebody that is, not to say that that's good, by the way, I'm just giving an example, right? Someone that is an alcoholic, they have to drink, right? One of the ways I was explaining something to somebody recently was because they were talking about marriage and can someone have lust? Can someone be bound by lust if they're married? You can lust after your wife, that's fine. I'm arguing that no, you can't, right? There's a difference between a lust, or there's a difference between a desire and a need, rather, right? Now, there's a difference between I want that and I would like to have it versus I need to have it to function. Right? That if I don't have someone to lay down with, I won't be able to function. If I don't have someone to do this with, I won't be able to focus on the rest of my day, right? That's a sign of bondage when you need something. Now, the casual drinker may really like and enjoy drinking, right? But the alcoholic needs alcohol so that they can function. If they don't have alcohol, they can't get up in the morning. Right, and some people are like that with smoking. They need this to eat. They say if I don't smoke, I'm not going to be able to eat. Right, that's an example of, not that all smoking is bad. Period. I'm just saying some people are in bondage to it on a different level. Right, where they say I can't eat unless I do this. I can't do this unless I do this. I need to do this to be able to function as a normal human being. If I don't have this drink, I won't be able to do what I have to do today. My day won't go the same. I won't be able to go out and be sociable unless I drink, right? So they're in bondage to a problem of alcohol so that they can function as a normal human being. Whereas somebody that may have a habit, they're able to function with or without that habit, with or without that itch being scratched, right? Now, the person that is in a habitual pattern, they can still be in mild levels of bondage, right? It's a mild level of bondage, but it's still breakable. It's still overcomable, right? So what I'm essentially saying is that somebody can be in a small level of bondage that can feel like a habit. So this is a very blurred line, right? Where the place where it goes from one side to the other can be a little blurry, because somebody could be in the beginning stages of being in bondage, right? Where like the demon of addiction just came in and it doesn't yet quite have the power or authority to keep them in full bondage, but it's working its way to getting them in full bondage. So they could be in beginning stages of bondage, which can kind of feel like a habit, because it's still not strong enough to where it's dominating and controlling them, but it's gradually progressing toward being in complete and full bondage. And they're just on the road to there, but they haven't quite arrived at the destination of complete bondage yet, but they're still in the vehicle, and that can still require deliverance. I'm just trying to add a little bit of clarity to this, because it could be very blurry. I do want to be clear about that. At the point where desire begins, where desire ends and lust starts, right? Like, desire is healthy, right? Lust is sin, right? You can desire to want to make more money, right? Which is different than lusting after making more money. You can desire your wife, which is different than lusting after your wife. And once again, these words can be I'm doing this because these words can be a little convoluted at certain points, right? But there's a difference between desire and lust, right? So if you have a desire for something, that can be healthy, right? It can get blurry once that desire gets really strong. That desire is beginning to turn into a lust, where it becomes something that you need versus something that you just want, or something that you enjoy, or something that you like, right? So I just want to make that small distinction there between desire is unhealthy. I mean, desire is healthy, and a lust is unhealthy. It's an unhealthy desire / need for something, while desire is just like, we all have desires, right? I desire to take a sip of water in a couple seconds. We all have desires, but when it's like a difference between being hungry and being starving, right? So starving would be that crossover point. It's a point where you're hungry. Man, I ain't have no lunch today. Man, I woke up early. I left the house without eating breakfast. I'm really hungry. Which is different than, I'm starving. I ain't eaten in days. I'm starving. If I don't get some food soon, I may not make it, right? So starving is a condition that's more like on the verge of like no longer being able to survive. Hungry is just a state, right? It's a state. It's a desire for food. But starvation is like, it's a level of bondage, meaning that if this doesn't get rectified soon, I may not be here anymore, which is like, thirsty is different from being dehydrated, right? I'm thirsty. I would like something to drink, which is different than I'm dehydrated. I need something to drink. And if I don't get something to drink, I may not make it, right? Those are two. So when I talk about lust, desire versus lust, desire is hunger. Desire is thirst, right? But lust is dehydration. Lust is starvation. Lust is I need it. Desire is I want it. Lust is I need it. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do. Desire is I would like to have it, or I may have a small desire for it that I would like to have rectified. But it hasn't crossed over to that point. So when somebody could even be in a marriage and they're beginning to develop a lust of a sexual appetite that is turned into a lust, to where if they don't get to scratch that itch, they're not able to function. And it crosses over from a place that is healthy and having desire to a place that is unhealthy, and now it's becoming a lust. So here's what I mean. So desire is of the flesh. That's something you could have a desire and have desires and things like that. Maybe you'll do them, maybe you won't. You have these different desires. But lust, that's when it's going over into the stage of demonization. That's where desire becomes lust, is where the flesh becomes demonization, right? So when those lustful appetites are happening, no matter what it's for, what I need this, I need that, if I don't have this, boom, 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 that's where a real level of deliverance is oftentimes required, right? Like, people go from smoking cigarettes. They may start from when they're young, and they start hanging out with their friends, and maybe they'll smoke a cigarette every now and then. And so that just it becomes a habit. Oh, when I'm out with my friends, then they transition to, I only smoke cigarettes when I drink. I don't buy them though, but if somebody has one, I'll take them, right? So now they're probably already in beginning stages of bondage, right? And they're beginning to cross over into the state of they're beginning to cross over in the state of bondage, rather. Right? They have interest, they do something casually, but now it's beginning to cross over. Now I don't buy it. They start making these excuses for themselves. That's another one of the ways you know the difference. Once you start making excuses for what you're doing, like, oh, no, you start coming up with small justifications in your mind. That means you're being Well, that can mean that a wool is beginning to be pulled over your eyes in the form of all these little small excuses to make it seem like what you're doing is not so bad. Hey, everybody does it. Hey, it's just once a week. Oh, it's only once in a while. Oh, I don't actually buy them myself. I'm never going to buy them. I'm only going to do it if somebody else gives it to me. I'm never going to, so that's when the wool is beginning to be pulled. When all these small, instead of coming to the terms that, hey, look, I'm doing this, and I understand that if I keep doing this, that there's a risk that it can turn into a serious habit. That's reality, right? Reality is not, yeah, it's only this. It's only just once in a while. It's only on Fridays. It's only on Saturdays. It's only on Sundays. I'm only going to do it one more time. That's when the wool is beginning to be pulled, because you're not realizing that reality means, like, what's real is things are either progressing or they're regressing. So every time you're doing it, you're progressing further toward the state of bondage. And when you're resisting, you're progressing further toward the state of being away from it. So it's never just one more. It's if I do this one more time, I'm increasing the degree to which the bondage I could be and could be, right? And if I'm not careful, I'm going to be in bondage to this, right? Because this is physically addictive, and there's a spiritual element to all these things, right? So that's reality. Don't try your best not to make excuses for yourself, or don't accept any excuses, because you don't know where those excuses are coming from. Don't accept any excuse. I got to do what I got to do. This is not good. Yes, I did it, and don't do it. But I'm saying, yeah, this is not good. I have a desire to do this, and I acknowledge that this is bad. It is not good. It is not healthy. It is not right. And if I do it, I am acknowledging that I'm consciously doing something not right, without excuse, right? Just come to full grips and awareness with what you're doing. And that, I think that'll help you, even whether or not you're going to make the decision or not. But just get rid of the excuses. I had a friend who used to tell me growing up, man, excuses are the nails that build the house of failure. I know I've said that several times, but excuses are the nails that build the house of failure. Just throw out all excuses. Come to the most realistic, honest to grips with what you're doing. Don't say it's just one more. It's only this. I didn't really do it yesterday, so I can do it today. No. This is bad, right? And I want to do something that I know is bad. And then see if you still want to do it. Because we do that so that we can manage the consequences we feel after the fact. We prepare the trampoline outside the window, right? Like the firefighters, so that once we jump, we can land safely, because we've already built in an excuse in our minds before we did it. So that keeps us from feeling conviction. And when you don't have conviction or about what has just happened, it makes it even more difficult to change. That in itself further ensnares people toward a level of bondage, because there is no conviction. They've already erased the conviction before they did the act. They make an excuse to lay a soft bedding so that they land on something soft after it's done, versus just fully coming to grips with what just happened and landing flat on their butts and saying, I don't want to feel that again. Versus, oh, that didn't feel so bad. Now I can do it again. Right, that's where it gets dangerous. Another difference between something that's of the flesh and something that is of demonization. And of course, demonization means that person is under bondage by a demonic force that is keeping them enslaved to their sin. And those demonic forces can be released through prayer, through asking, through forgiveness, or through deliverance, right? And is all released through Jesus Christ, because he already took the penalty and price and paid for your sin, so that you can be free and not be enslaved to these forces that administer death, but rather be freed from the penalty of your sin by believing on him for the remission of your sins. So that also happens through deliverance, which through the name of Jesus Christ and understanding the finished work that he did on the cross, them spirits are called out, right? If anybody thinks they need deliverance, I put my email on the screen for every video. If you think you need deliverance, you can email me at eddiefuse@gmail.com, and we can talk more about that. So the next difference between the flesh and something that could be demonization is, does it stop you from taking action, right? There's a difference between something that is of the flesh and something that paralyzes someone else, right? Like somebody can be afraid. They could say, oh, they have to go on stage and talk before a bunch of people, and they're nervous and they're afraid to do it. But they still go up there and do it. They swallow their fear, and they get up there and their voice cracks a little bit in the beginning, but they get their first words out, and now they're rolling, they're going. The speech is happening. The nerves has settled for the most part. But there's someone else that they can't go to sleep at night if the light is off, because they're afraid of the dark. All right, that's a symbol of bondage, because now they're paralyzed from taking action. Whether somebody says, man, I want to get up and go use the bathroom in the nighttime, but I'm afraid of the dark. I'm afraid of what may be in my hallway. So I'm going to stay in my bed and suppress this feeling I have that I have to go use the bathroom until it's daytime outside, so that whatever's in my hallway, I don't have to see, hear, or experience it, because I'm afraid to go out there. I want to go get a snack, a late night snack, but I'm afraid to go in my kitchen in the nighttime because I don't know what's going to be in there. As if whatever is in your kitchen is afraid of you, like it's afraid to come to the bedroom, right? But the point is, that's a symbol of bondage, right? That person is being paralyzed. They're being frozen by fear. Like I want to go on stage. I'm nervous to go to do this to go speak on stage, and I'm just not going to do it. I can't do it because I'm too afraid. I can't do it. I refuse to do it. I just won't do it. And that person is being paralyzed from taking action. Yeah, somebody could have a fear. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous about the dark, but I'm still going to go do it. I got to do it. I'll feel the fear and do it anyway, right? So this healthy fear, like I see a tiger or a lion and I feel fear, that fear is to alert you to danger, right? Which is understandable. But there's another fear when people are beginning to fear their own imaginations, where they're fearing something that hasn't even happened yet, something that they don't know is going to happen or they don't know if it could happen, right? And that's a symbol of bondage. So somebody that has anxiety and the anxiety stops them from going in a social setting and having a conversation versus somebody that may feel a little anxiety, but they still go do it anyway. They manage, they get through it and make it happen, right? Now, once again, there's a blurry line. So both of them people could potentially need deliverance, but sometimes the person on the left side of that line, which would be the just mild fear of a tiger, fear of a vicious looking dog, a little bit of fear to go on, a little stage fright, which is different than I can't do it, which is on the other side of that line. It's like, I can't do it, right? No matter how hard I try, I can't do it because I have this anxiety. No matter how hard I try, I can't do it because I have this fear. That's bondage when you're puzzled and paralyzed and stopped from taking action. So there's a difference between I'm a human being, I have these thoughts and these feelings and these emotions, but I do everything I have to do anyway, versus because I feel like this, because I have this feeling, because I'm thinking this thing, because of this fear, because of this anxiousness, because of this depression, I can't do what I'm supposed to do, or I can't do the things that I would like to do because I have this thing. I like to go out to eat on the weekends, but because of this anxiety thing, I'm not going to go out and eat. Even though I like to go eat, I'm going to stay home so I don't have to deal with these feelings and these emotions. Or so that's keeping somebody suppressed and in bondage, which is different than having feelings and emotions, but still doing what you like to do and facing them, overcoming them, and moving forward, right? There's different kinds of resistance in areas of life, and resistance, as you know, when you go to the gym, you put resistance on the bar to increase your strength. So there's emotional resistance people have. There's the resistance we have in our environments from bacteria and viruses and parasites, and our bodies build strong immune systems to overcome them. And all these resistances make us stronger in small ways, right? But the issue happens when you start being overcome by those resistances, right? So where normally people come in contact with viruses or bacteria, and they've built a strong enough immune system that their immune system fights it off and they overcome it, and that person stays as healthy as they ever been. They don't even know they ever had it. Versus those viruses and bacteria are beginning to take over the body, and now that person has a sickness, right? So that's different than I feel small pockets of fear here, anxiety here, and things, but I overcome it and move forward. Versus those anxious feelings and those fears are completely taking over the person and paralyzing them so that they can't take action and they can't move. So that's a sign of demonization. A third one I'm going to talk about, the third sign between something that is of the flesh and something that is of demonization. And this kind of leans on the second one, but I'm going to touch on it briefly. Is this word attacks. And I think this is something that, I know these are medical terms, but I think my personal opinion is that these are subconscious things that are being used to suggest something, right? Somebody says, I had an anxiety attack. I had a panic attack. I had a asthma attack, right? So this word attack, and maybe asthma could be on the real blurry side of it, but these attacks where people are acknowledging that they're having these attacks, right? It's the reason why I brought up asthma, because I know people that I've had situations where people are going through deliverance and they're beginning to be attacked where they can't breathe anymore. They're gasping and wheezing for air because whatever is in them and trying to come out of them is beginning to choke the life. It's just trying to choke the life out of them before they go. But anyway, these words attack, anxiety attack, panic attack, these are all attacks, right? So if it is an attack, then what is it that is attacking? Does someone think that their body is just attacking itself, that their hormones, their emotions, that they're attacking themselves? or is there something else that is doing the attacking? So that's just some food for thought. But though, in my experience, a lot of times when somebody said something, they had some kind of attack. You hear the word spiritual attack. We know that's we know that's coming from an outside force. If they say they had a spiritual attack, they went to sleep and they felt paralyzed, right? They had a spiritual attack. They couldn't move. We understand those attacks, right? But there's also emotional attacks, as there's physical attacks. And I'm of the opinion, from what I've experienced and heard and dealt with so far with dealing with different people, that a lot of these attacks are being caused by external forces that people can be delivered from. And so the thing is, do these things happen perpetually? Something could happen once in a while that may not be bondage, but if they're getting these attacks often, then that is a sign of bondage. So that's the difference between I had this episode versus this thing keeps repeating and repeating and repeating in my life. If it's repeating, that is a sign of bondage. If something happens one time, it could be isolated, but you can figure that out with more time. So that's the video, guys, for the day, man. Hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section, guys, and let me guys know what you think. And share the video, especially if you know family members or people that may need this help and may never thought about these things before. They don't have to suffer, right? Help is available. And that's the good news, that Jesus Christ came in the flesh and gave his life on the tree and was buried and resurrected, taking all of our penalty and sin. So people don't have to struggle through these sufferings their whole life. Freedom is available. And they can have that freedom in Jesus Christ. All glory, honor, and praise to my Father in heaven and to the Lord Jesus Christ. Peace, 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 guys.